Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making brown sugar oven baked ribs. So now I'm just placing the ribs and prepping them to be seasoned and to marinate for a couple hours before I put them in the oven. Um, Clearly I am OCD about the placement. Um, but I'm just making sure that they're all going to be able to be seasoned very well on both sides. And I have all the ingredients out. So we're going to start with garlic powder. Doesn't matter what brand, you can use what you want. And then we're going in with the mustard, the dry mustard. This is really good for barbecue just in general. It gives it a good flavor. And you can absolutely use more or less depending on what you like. Next we'll be using the salt, and you can switch this out for Himalayan salt or salt-free seasoning if you need to. I know some people don't like to use salt. Now I am gonna go in with the black pepper, and you want to make sure that you're seasoning it really good. I know that it doesn't look like it's a whole bunch of seasoning, um, but I am being generous and it is going to be flavorful, so you can always put more or less depending on what you like. So next, slap your mama. We love Cajun seasoning. I know that it is a brown sugar rib, but it's nice to have a kick. So we're going in with that. We gotta have some smoked paprika to give it the color, because of course we're not putting it on the grill, so it needs to still look like it's been made on the grill. So definitely put a good amount of that paprika on there. Then we're going in with the roasted garlic from Grill Mates. It is really good. Just brings a lot of flavor to the ribs. Be generous again because you want it to be seasoned very well. And then we're going in with basil. So I would say that this is optional. Like everybody may not use that, but if you do, you don't have to put a lot. And then we're gonna go in with the brown sugar. You can also use dark brown sugar, but my sugar was a little stuck together, so I just added a little bit of water to make a paste, and I'm gonna put that, just like slather it on the ribs and give it like it's gonna melt down to like a glaze. So we're just rubbing that on initially, and then once we rub that on, we're gonna rub it into the rib just to make sure it's nice and coated. You really want that brown sugar to seep in there. And yes guys, I use gloves because I always have my nails done, and I hate for stuff to get under the nails and it gets messy, and I just don't like having and I just don't like it. So I am trying to use gloves more often now, especially for stuff like this. So I'm just patting that glaze with the brown sugar and water, and it's just a little bit of water. You don't want it watered down, you just want it to where it becomes a paste. Rub it in there and marinate it very good, because we're gonna be wrapping this up and putting it in the fridge for about 3 hours minimum, or overnight if you can. So mustard is really good, and no, it's not gonna mess up the flavor, the sweetness, or anything. Um, but it's just really good for when that barbecue sauce gets on it later. You want to rub that in as well with the brown sugar glaze. And then we're just gonna repeat the same thing on the other side. We're gonna flip them. And then we're just gonna repeat the seasonings. Okay. And another thing I ended up adding in here um, was cumin, just because I like to give it a smoky flavor. Um, just because you're making it in the oven, like you still want it to taste like it's right off the grill and not in the oven. So I'm just going in with that. And I don't like to use a lot because the flavor can be very overpowering if you put a lot, so you don't need a lot of that. Going back in with the basil. Shake, shake, shake. Again, you don't have to put a lot of that one. Salt. And of course, you can be generous. You could put even more than that, honestly. Garlic powder. Slap your mama. We need the Cajun seasoning. Mustard. I love dried mustard. Like, I think I literally put this on everything. Chicken, ribs. It's really good flavor. And I love that brand, Spice Islands. It's really good. And Grill Mates roasted garlic. We're going back with that. And be generous. The only thing you want to be careful about is ones that have like salt in it, which that one does. But you still want to be generous. And then black pepper. Paprika. You want it on both sides to make sure that it is gonna get that nice brown color. And then we're gonna be going back in. Yes, with that glaze, that's how it looks. It's not very thick. Just a little bit of water just to where it's like a paste. Make sure we're rubbing that in. It's gonna melt down really nice. After putting it in the oven for 2.5 hours, it's gonna have a nice the juices are gonna melt down. So we're just massaging it in, making sure both sides of the rib is coated, seasoned, and just mixing it up really well. Mustard again, because you can never go wrong. Clearly, I'm running out of mustard. Clearly, I got tired of fighting with the mustard, and I was like, that's enough. Again, because this is just the marinade, so just flip them over. You can see it is very coated. And now all we need to do is wrap this up in foil, and we're gonna put it in the fridge for a minimum of 3 hours. Oh, going back in with the cumin that I forgot to put on this side just a little bit. But yeah, we're going to put this in the fridge for a minimum of 3 hours. If you can, try to put it overnight. It just would help the flavors get in there even better, but at least a minimum of 3 hours. And then we're gonna come back and show you guys what it looks like after you have it in the oven for 2.5 hours. And you're gonna set your oven to 275, guys. So yeah, we're just wrapping it and putting it in the fridge. And again, after it comes out of the fridge after the 3 hours, you're gonna set your oven to 275 degrees. And this is what it's gonna look like after 2.5 hours of baking. I know it's looking light, but this is why we're going to go in with some oil and just brush it over the ribs. You just want to go over each one individually, making sure you coat it very well with the oil. It doesn't need to be like oily, but you want to make sure that it's coated because it's going to help it crisp up and get that brown color that we're looking for in our ribs. So yeah, I'm just doing it out of my measuring cup, but you can use whatever just to be able to dip the brush in the oil. And I'm gonna have a list again of all the ingredients down below for you guys. So we're gonna put this back in the oven for about 30 minutes, and you're gonna see when it comes out of the oven, it's gonna look crisp, right? And then that's after 30 more minutes on 275, or you can even turn it up just a little bit to like 300 for those 30 minutes to get a nice brown crisp color. And once it comes out, that's when you put barbecue sauce on it, and I will show you how that looks as well when they are completed for about another 30 minutes. So this is after the oil is on it and it's nice and brown, and then this is after barbecue sauce. Thanks guys for watching.